Welcome back, s'mores, to Beyond the Campfire, where today we are traveling back in time to when a very strange incident account happened in Suffolk County, England. Um, what happened? Who were the people involved? That is what we plan to find out today on this episode of Beyond the Campfire. If you're new here, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Today, Stephen, tell us about the green people, the green children of Woolpit.
Alrighty, yeah. So we have the Green Children of Woolpit. This comes to us from the 12th century in England, specifically in Suffolk County. So we'll get to the strange incident that happened over there. So we'll get into details. What we're gonna do is a little bit different today. I wrote a story, and again, I know we keep repeating it, but for people that are just coming back after a while, no more AI stories. We want to save water, right? We want to save farmers.
Yep,
So
we're going to lynch them clankers.
there you go. So we're writing our own stories, and yeah, again, might not be quite as polished as ChatGPT, but it is a lot more human, and I think that human
So much
element,
better.
right? So, I've written 3 chapters. We're going to get to each of these 3 chapters. We'll read one chapter, talk a bit, share some information, read another chapter, talk a bit, share some information, and then end with the 3rd chapter. And as we go along, you'll get some, fun story, a fun way to get the information. And then we'll get you the extra information after each chapter. I mostly tried to stay true to the time. So the story is written as if me and Will were living in Suffolk, England during the 12th century, right? I tried to modify our dialogue a bit to make it match the time. Couldn't really figure out how to do that. So we're more or less talking as we normally would. I didn't add in any slang. Right?
What you could think about is like, in TV shows, when they're speaking in English and the TV show is set in China, the people are actually really speaking Chinese. So just think about it as we're speaking Old English, but because you get what I'm saying.
Exactly. So, yeah, I guess without further ado, we'll kind of just go ahead and read this first part, and that will kind of set up what we're going to talk about with the rest of the episode. So after each chapter, just preface it obviously the fictional parts are me and Will being there.
Yeah.
We are. Um,
What do you mean? What do you mean that was fiction? I swear we were there just yesterday.
I know, yeah. Some of the historical events I'll mention are real. Obviously, some of our opinions on the matter are going to be a bit, different.
Stretched.
Right.
Stretched.
But, it's more or less kind of true, a little bit to at least the time that this had happened. So, okay, all right. Without further ado, we'll read chapter 1, and then we'll get into the other ones. So here we go. The Green Children of Woolpit. Chapter 1. I'll be doing the narrator and myself. Will be doing himself and any other characters.
That's how we roll.
Summer, 1140. Will and Stephen, 2 humble farmers living in Woolpit, in the Suffolk region of England, tend to their crops. Tensions have been high. Since the death of King Henry, England has been in civil war to determine the succession of leadership. Will had fought briefly, befriending an Indian man named Sahil. After sharing the gospel with him, Sahil accepted Christ, was baptized by Will, and took the name Stephen after the martyr in the book of Acts. After Will got injured, Stephen took him home to his wife and daughter. That was 2 years ago. Can't believe the war is still going on, Stephen said. Rumor has it that Empress Matilda is getting close to killing King Stephen. An unfortunate coincidence that I took the name of such a polarizing figure.
It's all 2 wings of the same bird.
Will grunted.
King Stephen promised me an England first agenda. But what has he been doing? Sending all our money to other European nations, fighting their wars. Matilda, or her corrupt son Henry II, won't be much better. We need a revolution.
Stephen shook his head. I might get there, but I think things are still okay. For now, justice will come in time, Lord willing, through peaceful means. Suddenly, a loud crash came from outside. Then, the noise of a young boy crying in pain. The two men rushed outside. There, a young girl and a young boy were on the ground, the girl consoling the boy. But something was off.
Steven? You ever seen clothes or materials like that in India?
No, Stephen replied. Neither in India nor in England have I seen such material. Perhaps something from outside of Suffolk County?
And, hmm, don't they look weird to you? Um, they're kind of greenish.
Will wondered in amazement. Stephen looked closely. You're you're right. What in the world? Stephen approached the two cautiously. They looked at him with fright. I mean you no harm, young ones, Stephen said softly. What are your names? The boy looked confused, then spoke in a foreign tongue. Will, what are they speaking? German? French?
No, it's none of those.
Will said quickly.
This is something far different from anything I have heard before. Sounds like uh, sounds like a language from beyond the stars.
Stephen looked puzzled, then said, Never mind that. The boy is hurt. Let's take him to Lord Richard,
The town doctor? That's a good idea.
Will replied. The two men carried the children into town, who continued to speak in an alien tongue.
I have no idea what the heck they're saying.
Will grunted.
This is pretty freaking weird.
Well, in any case, let's be glad they didn't fall into the wolf pit, Stephen replied. Though the boy continued to look frightened, the girl had fallen asleep peacefully in Stephen's arms. I hope they'll be okay, Stephen sighed sadly. With green skin like this, they must be really, really sick. As the two men walked up to Dr. Richard's house, Will couldn't help but feel a shiver down his spine. Something about these children were other.
Hmm. By the way, when you were sitting there and you were like, "Oh, they're speaking a different language," I was gonna try. Um, yeah, I was gonna be like, like the wild thornberries. What's his name?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, man. I can't remember it off the top of my
I
head.
can't think of what his name was. Oh, Donnie. That was his name, Donnie.
Oh, okay.
Donnie Thornberry. Yeah, I was thinking like that was the voice that popped in my head. Of course, I can't do it, but that was what popped in my head. So when you're like, the boy started speaking a weird language, I was fixing to start doing that.
Yeah, no, that would have been funny. So, okay, let's talk about some of the background. So, this is Suffolk County, England, during what was a civil war at that time. King Henry I had died, and Empress Matilda, who I'm trying to remember if that was his wife or his sister or something else.
Oh,
She's connected.
she was the Holy Roman Empress.
Yes, and she wanted to rule, but then there was Stephen who rose to the throne, and then they fought for a while. Eventually, Matilda actually never does take the throne, but her son King Henry II ends up becoming king after the Civil War ends. Um, so okay, so it looks like she's King Henry I's daughter.
Daughter. Yeah.
Okay, so she's the daughter of King Henry I, and she's kind of hoping to take over after he dies. Um, but yeah, of course that does not happen. So, oh, King Stephen is from France. So he was a Frenchman taken over.
Ooh, wee wee.
Yeah, he was a Frenchman taken the throne of England. So yeah, no wonder there were some problems there. But so in Suffolk County, the war was going on, but the town of Woolpit was a little bit far removed, so it was quieter. They weren't really being affected too much by the war, other than hearing about it from abroad and things like that. The reason the town is called Woolpit is because there was a lot of wolves in the area, and the townspeople did not like to wonder about or worry about wolves. So they dug this pit, and they would put like some coverings and stuff on it. And so what would happen is wolves would actually fall into the pit, and they would be trapped there. And you
So
were
then
able.
they kind of changed the words around a little bit and started calling it wool pit.
Right, right. So yeah, I think like literally translated from Old English, yeah, it's wolf's pit. But the way the Old English would say it, it ended up being like wool pit. Um, but yeah, that's why the town is called that, is so that they could catch
Well, because
wolves.
when you said, well, it's a good thing they didn't fall in the wolf pit. I'm like, wolf pit? What is a wolf pit?
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't want to give everything away in the story, so I was like, I'll throw some Easter eggs in there and then explain them as we get into that. Um, so yeah, the kids were found near the wolf's pit, but they hadn't actually fallen into it. We'll get into
Mm,
the lore of that because that actually gets into some of the mystery and the legend behind these two kids. But so yeah, you have Woolpit, England, and sometime during the Civil War, we don't know the exact date, which me writing summer 1140, that's just me picking a random date within that period. But yeah, these two kids were found.
hmm
Um, they had clothes that were made of a material that nobody knew what it was or where it came from. Their skin was green, right? So that's already weird.
Hulk.
I know, right? Yeah. We'll see if these guys were angry or not, right? And then lastly, they were speaking a language that nobody had heard before, which implies that, hey, maybe it was not an earthly tongue, right?
Spooky.
So
It does make you kind of wonder, like these random kids just show up. It's like what? Their mom and dad like not have enough money to take care of them, and just like kick them out and said, "All right, have fun on Earth."
I know, right? Yeah,
It's like when you take your kid to the gas station, you just abandon them, or you take them
right.
to the mall. Take them to Walmart. Aliens just took them to Earth,
Yeah.
and then they're like, "All right, kids, go in that tavern and order us a beer." Okay, mom, dad. Comes back out. Where's the spaceship at? They left us.
Wild times. So yeah, they are found, and Dr. Richard, who I mentioned in the story, he's real. So they did take him to Dr. Richard, who was kind of the town doctor. There's some disputes of whether he was a lord or a baron or a knight, because some accounts call him Sir Richard, some accounts call him Lord Richard. We don't really know exactly what he was. Most people
Yeah.
agree he probably was somewhere between a knight and a baron. So
Mm,
not quite either of those, but maybe somewhere between those.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I will tell you one thing we do know about Richard is that he was not as cool as Richard the Lionheart.
I That's true.
You know?
He was not as cool as them, right? Uh,
Nope.
so yeah, these people are they're found, these two kids, and again, these people come. It's actually interesting. They're found by two people, um, Ralph of Coggeshall, and then they're also found by another guy named William.
Look at that connection. Ain't that connection
So
crazy? We just race
obviously,
swapped. We just pulled a Netflix move and race swapped one of the other guys to fill the minority role. And
there you go. Yeah, I'm the DEI hire, right? So anyway, so Ralph and William find these kids, and obviously for our story, you change it to Will and Steven, but they're the ones that are like talking to them, trying to feed them and stuff. And so we'll get into that in chapter 2. Um, So yeah, actually, let's go ahead and get into chapter two, because chapter two is kind of where the story starts to move along a little bit. So we'll scroll down, get to chapter two, and I think Will,
Yep.
you're starting us off.
Come on, you have to eat.
Will shouted at the boy. The boy cowered back in fear.
It's no use.
Dr. Richard said.
It's been 3 days, and I have not eaten anything I've offered them. I checked their vitals, and it's clear they are starving, but they just will not eat anything.
Stephen watched the two children closely. They are still very green. Any idea what that is about, my lord? Dr. Richard shook his head.
Why? They haven't vomited or anything. I don't think it is because of the sickness. They seem fascinated with the sun, as if they have barely seen it. And of course, no one here in Suffolk knows what language they're speaking.
Very odd indeed, Stephen said wistfully. Suddenly, the three men heard excited yelping from the backyard.
Oi, 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 oi!
The little girl said, as she held up green beans and devoured them.
I don't know where that came from. Incredible!
Dr. Richard said, eyes widening.
They would either be disgusted or afraid of food. And yet, these green beans fill them with desire. With delight. Not desire. Wrong word. Couldn't be me.
Will laughed.
I hate veggies. My mom always had to be creative with how she force fed them to me.
Days passed, and the children ate the green beans and slowly started to eat other food too. Both of them got stronger, and their skin began to lose their greenish tint. Dr. Richard named the girl Agnes and the boy John. He became their primary caregiver and began to teach them English.
He sure loves them kids, doesn't he?
Will said a couple of weeks later. He sure does, Stephen replied. No one in all of Suffolk has claimed them. Really does seem like they came out of nowhere. But I'm glad to see they found a father in Lord Richard. Suddenly, Dr. Richard ran up to them, tears streaming down his face.
Okay, give me a second. I got to pull up my Erica Kirk. I tried the best I could. The boy, he seemed stronger and healthier until he didn't. Oh, I forgot it was me again. Whoa, 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 whoa! Slow down, Doc.
Will said.
What happened? The boy, the boy, he's dead.
Ends chapter 2.
That was great.
So,
Listen, I don't know where that oi 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 came from.
yeah, I know.
What's funny is Manny and I've been watching The Boys, so all I could picture in my head was Billy Butcher. Oi, Huey!
Yeah.
Homelander done kidnapped my son.
Yes. I was wondering if you were like emulating his voice with some of your impressions. So
okay, with Richard, I was trying to sound English, and now I've gone Scottish.
Hey, I'll take it. It's good.
He's got a mental disability.
Sure. So Dr. Richard takes care of the kids. They won't eat anything.
That's strange.
Until they come across, now they're called broad beans, but I decided to make it green beans, and we'll get to that in just a second of why I kind of added that detail in. But yeah, they find these broad beans and they begin to eat the broad beans, right? And they love them. They're very happy. They're very excited. As time goes on, they start to like get used to other food, so they'll start to eat like more normal types of food.
Well, that's at least good.
Go ahead.
I said, well, that's at least good that they're eating food.
Yeah. And as they start to eat normal food, slowly their skin starts to lose the green. And they start to
that's weird.
They start to look more like their natural white color.
That is weird.
Yeah. Or is that their natural white color? Who knows, right?
Well, it's kind of like I'm trying to think, like, aren't there certain foods that if you eat them, they can change your color?
Mm. Yes, to a degree. Um, yeah, I mean, like outside of disease, like your skin could get like slightly this way or slightly that way.
Yeah, when Cinco de Mayo happened, and we were drinking margaritas. It's like I didn't get drunk, but I remember my face got really red.
Hmm.
Like whenever I have like really alcohol, like my face goes red, and like that's the only effect I have. It's weird.
I remember your text to me about the tequila.
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 Bad.
That was funny.
Oh,
Uh,
I just yeah, because that
so
happened to me too one time where we were at I think it was last year for Maddie's birthday. We went to the like one of those fun like those those places with the hot pots where you dip your stuff in and cook it and do all that fun stuff.
I see. Yeah.
You know what that place is. So
No, I haven't. Yeah.
yeah, we need to take you there. But they did fondue, and the fondue had wine in it, and I guess the wine didn't cook out, and so like I was just dipping the cheese and stuff, and like I felt fine, like like not like I'm getting drunk off wine, but my face got really hot and red and itchy, and so that's why I was just kind of like that's whenever the kid's like face started turning white, it was kind of like reminding me of that where certain foods I feel like you can turn red, like even if you eat like you don't have to drink wine to turn red, you could eat like a pepper, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. For
So
sure.
so they went from green to white. They're white facing.
Yeah. Now they're white. And they're getting stronger and healthier. Uh, and then the boy dies. The boy dies. It's unclear how he died. That's part of the mystery of
Hmm.
he seemed to be looking better. He seemed to be like feeling stronger, and then he dies. And the girl goes on to continue to live, and she gets older. Richard kind of raises her. Um, but yeah, that's the mystery. So
Well, did they? Is there a reason why he died, or we just don't know?
we don't know. We don't know.
That damn plague got him. That damn hantavirus.
I know there's some theories. We'll kind of get into again. We'll start to get into some of this stuff. Um, but let's read the final chapter that I have written, and then
Yeah, it looked like he didn't finish it.
and so yeah, I kind of rushed the ending a little bit, but
Yeah, just like Stranger Things.
I know. Yeah. So, um, oh yeah. Let's see. Let me just write that out real quick.
Oh, I thought you were fixing to write down. It ends terribly, like Stranger Things.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. All
Okay,
right. So go ahead and let's go ahead and read it at the.
there you go. There you go.
Okay, good. We're done. All right. I have one sentence left. Okay.
There we go.
Chapter 3. 2 years had passed since John's death. Agnes's parents could not be found, but today some of the mystery was to be uncovered. Stephen looked at his notes. According to Lord Richard, Agnes is now fluent in English. She also remembers much of her past.
Which means we can finally get to the bottom of this.
Will replied. Stephen shook his head. Let's go in. The two men entered Dr. Richard's house. Dr. Richard stopped combing Agnes's bright blonde hair and greeted the two men.
Aye, she has quite the tale, gentlemen. How much is true and how much is not, I cannot say. Whatever it is, I think we're ready.
Will replied. The two men sat opposite Agnes. It is good to see you again, young Agnes, Stephen began.
You as well, Lord Stephen. Father has told me much of you and Lord William.
Agnes responded. Please, Stephen is fine, Stephen replied. Tell me about who you are and where you are from. John, who who was he to you? Agnes looked sad.
Hmm. He he was my little brother. I loved him. When we were found, we were lost from St. Martin's Land. We clung to each other. That is how we survived.
Will blinked.
St. Martin's Land? Haven't heard of such a place in England or anywhere in Europe. But where is it?
Agnes looked nervous.
Oh, I I don't know. But there is neither night nor day there. It is always twilight. That is why me and my people are green. The light of the sun only lightly kisses our skin, rather than the full warm embrace we receive here in England. But St. Martin is good to us. He watches over us.
Stephen raised an eyebrow. No night or day? Green skin? All of your people are like that?
Oh, yes,
Agnes replied.
everything is green in our land. Everything that is not green is toxic and will bring death. St. Martin told us so. Wait, is that why you didn't eat anything except those green beans?
Will exclaimed.
Yes, though in time I came to develop a taste for English food. Ooh,
Ag-
I really love beans on toast.
Sir Lanigan.
If it was toxic to you then, why is it not now?
Will asked.
I I do not know.
Agnes sat quietly for a long while. Anything else you can tell us? How did you leave there and get here? Stephen pressed.
I I don't know, Lord Stephen.
Agnes sat quietly again. After another hour, the two men could not get any more details. As they left, they thanked Dr. Richard. You think we'll ever know who she is? Stephen asked.
No clue. But again, I think she has some connection to the stars. Guess we'll never know for sure though.
The two men looked up at the night sky, filled with wonder and awe at the mysteries of the universe.
St. Martin lands in Sweden, yeah.
Okay, so the girl eventually does learn English,
Well, that's good.
and they asked her, yeah, who are you? Where did you come from?
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Oh man, good reference there. Good meme reference, right? Um, so she says she's from St. Martin's Land.
St. Martin land.
To this day, nobody knows what the heck she's talking about. There's no St. Martin's Land, at least in Europe.
Sounds
Possibly,
like a theme park.
right?
Come on down, ride a roller coaster at St. Martin's land.
Yep. She said she knows who St. Martin is, which is like a European Catholic saint. So
Maybe.
maybe, who knows, right? Um, she says that it's always twilight there. There's no daytime, there's no nighttime. It's just like always twilight. Uh, there's one theory that suspects her people were living underground, and that's why their skin just looked weird. And yeah, she said, "Hey, there's only green food, and any food that's not green, we wouldn't eat it because it'd be toxic." So that's why she got very excited about the broad beans because they were green,
Yeah.
and so she and her brother used to eat those those beans,
Man,
right?
all I can think about, like when we're talking about like the green children, is have you ever heard of the blue people of Kentucky?
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking about. It's like, okay, so I don't know what your theories are. I'd like to hear your theories first because, you know, before I jump to my own theories. But I guess just to quickly summarize it for people after listening to that story, you had these strange children show up, and these two guys found them and brought them to the doctor of the town, who was a lord, a knight, something. He took care of them, and they didn't eat for a while, had strange green skin, strange clothes, talked strange. And then he brought them in. They didn't eat for a while, and then they started eating and started eating normal food, talking. The boy then died, and then the little girl survived. How long did the little girl survive? Do we know? Like, did she just live to an
So
old
she
woman?
grows up into adulthood. Eventually, does get married to, according to legend, to this guy named Richard Barr. Whether they had kids, nobody knows. She kind of like disappears from the historical record after a while.
That's weird. You know what? You know what's funny is I guess you could say that Richard Barr married a woman that was out of this world.
I know, right? Yeah.
See what I did there.
I'll start with the more boring theories. Boring.
Yeah, because I'm really curious who these people are. I mean, like,
And then we'll get
it's strange.
thing ones. So the first theory is that they were Flemish refugees, that they're the offspring of some Flemish settlers that were persecuted by King Stephen, and that they escaped to the woods near Woolpit, They may have been disoriented, obviously spoke a different language, and were malnourished. The disease people said they had was chlorosis, which is a condition caused by severe deficiency in iron and protein. It does make your skin weird colors. Not necessarily green, although sometimes it could make people look green. Uh, but yeah, this would like support reports that once the kids actually ate food, that their skin would return back to normal. Here's the problem: green skin is a rare effect of chlorosis, and it happened to both of them. Which, granted, they're siblings, but that's odd.
Yeah,
Um,
it's so strange.
this also wouldn't explain why she said the story that she did. This also wouldn't explain why people didn't know the language. Because, like, yes, Flemish was a foreign language, but it wasn't so foreign that people wouldn't know what it is. People would hear Flemish and they'd be like,
Yeah,
"Hey, like, I've
yeah,
heard."
that is strange.
Right? So there's holes in that theory.
Hmm.
Um, I tend to like it because I'm a radical skeptic, right? Or not? Or yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that. I'm usually of the opinion extraordinary evidence requires extraordinary proof, and so like this is weird, but there's at least some explanations potentially for normal factors. Um, so that's a boring theory.
Yeah, pretty boring.
Uh, and then there's two fun theories, and really there's just the three main theories. All right, the second was the underground otherworld theory. So she was saying she came from a place where the sun never shone and everything was green.
Okay.
At that time, there had been reports from at least other people, like a boy in a neighboring town, had reported having dreams of an underground world that was completely green. And he described there being fairy people that had blonde hair because both these kids had blonde hair. And he said that, yeah, they resided in this underground world away from humanity. Um, and a lot of people were saying, like, yeah, this world is real, it's somewhere out there. And
Yeah, it's freaky.
this girl who had never met this boy, they never talked, right? Like, they never could have, like, made this
Yeah,
trip together. They both were sharing, like, similar details of the same place, which seems to indicate maybe this was a place, right? Maybe there is this underground area where green humans, or maybe not humans, but like some kind of greenish people were living. And maybe as you eat human food, it makes you more human, maybe, right? But
that's
um,
that seems outlandish.
yeah, but at the very least, like, that is weird. I will admit that. I was like, what are the odds that this other kid in another town far away is
Hmm.
describing a world very similar to the one that this girl
Yeah, it's
described?
still that's strange to me. There's like I feel like there's a lot of holes though still that I don't know.
Yeah. Here's the last theory, and this is the fun one. Um, aliens.
It's
Right,
back.
aliens. So at least one modern scholar who's studied aliens for a long time um, has said, hey, that like the way the children were speaking or alleged to have spoke, the color of their
Mhm.
skin, what they were describing, he said this would be consistent with what we would expect from extraterrestrial beings if
Yeah,
extraterrestrial beings did exist. Um, the underground world theory, he said, had some holes in it. Like this girl didn't necessarily talk about an underground world. She did talk about like, hey, the sun barely shone over there. Um, she did talk about like green food and stuff like that. But like, if she truly is an alien child, she's not going to remember much of what being an alien is. This would also explain like Saint Martin's Land, like nowhere on Earth is matches the details.
yeah, that's yeah.
Um, she did mention Saint Martin, which was a Catholic saint. So some people are like, "Oh, see, that proves she was an alien." But here's the thing: she's been living under English people for a while.
Yeah.
She's like trying to describe her world in the best terms she can. And so, like, some people are like, "Hey, she wasn't even necessarily she chose the term Saint Martin, but they said she probably was describing some kind of extraterrestrial leader, and she felt
Mm,
Saint Martin was the best way she could describe him for people.
yeah.
And um, there's not a whole lot of information other than that. Again, this is a story that was spread throughout England, and at least Richard Barr, who supposedly married this girl, is a real historical figure, um, right? And so it's just like, yeah, it's a mystery. It
Oh
is a
yeah.
there's just these theories you have to go off of whether the girl was lying or not. I mean, why would she lie? Um, she didn't speak English, and she goes from speaking English. So I don't know. I don't know. There's weird events right now. I am leaning towards she's from a foreign land, and she just got sick. But like I said, there are holes even with that theory.
Yeah, there's a lot of holes
Yeah.
with a lot of these theories. I think because unfortunately, like, everybody's like, William's gonna go for it, and William's gonna say it, and William's gonna agree with it. But you're
Oh boy.
right. I'm gonna say it's aliens.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I don't know, aliens just make the most sense to me because it's kind of like, like, think about, like for example, the blue people of Kentucky. Okay,
Right.
if you don't know who the blue people of Kentucky are, they're a real group of people who, thanks to incest, the pigments of their skin made them blue. But the thing about them, though, is that I don't think by them eating our food are they going to turn back to being white. You know, there's been no signs of that because the incest has screwed up their DNA so much to the point where they're blue. Same thing like with the green children. You know, could you say that there's a group of people living in the mountains and in the caves, and she was part of incest from a family of incest, and that's why her skin was green? Sure, but it doesn't explain why she went back to being a normal color. Normal race color, white, right?
Right.
So that doesn't explain that part. It doesn't explain why did the boy die?
Yeah.
That's where what you could see and that's why I think the alien theory fills a lot of these plot holes. Okay, why did she turn white? Well, maybe their biology was different than ours, and by being exposed to more sunlight and stuff, it could have changed the pigments of their skin. Who knows? Um, and that could probably explain why the boy died. Maybe there's something on our planet that just, I mean, there's so many different bacteria on this planet compared to other planets that, I mean, it could have killed him, you know? And it explains St. Martin Land, where she, like Stephen said, attributed it to where it's like Martin is a saint. He's a high up guy. Well, there's this alien leader that was over all of us. And saying that the sun didn't really shine very well, and made everything kind of green looking. Well, I'm pretty sure there might be a planet where, there's some science mumbo jumbo stuff to where the layers in the atmosphere could distort the sunlight to only allow the color green to come through. And I think that's
Yeah.
why I think the
Or
alien theory is the most.
well, and she could not tell people where she came from or how she got there. Like she struggled to do that. Like it seemed like she didn't even really remember herself how she ended up where she did.
Yeah.
Like if you are, the problem with the theory that I'm preferring right now, but I have to admit is weak, is if you are the child of Flemish refugees, like as you grow up, you can be like, yeah, I'm Flemish, or I came from this general direction. It's not like Flemish people were so rare. Like you could
Yeah.
point at them and identify them, and right, especially if she married Richard Barr, who was a very like influential English judge and clerk. That guy was traveling. He would have known Flemish people. He would have known a lot of people. If she's married to the guy, they eventually would have found the people she supposedly came from.
Yeah.
But if her people are not of this world, then they would never find them. So,
No. And
um,
that's why, like I said, I think there's a lot the alien theory can explain, like we know about, like, and I think science can help explain it too as well, because, like, not to say like science proves aliens are real unless you listen to the government declassifying UFO documents recently. But it's like there's science to where we know, like with our atmosphere, that allows, certain lights to come through to where we have colors, and all this. And That's why the sky is a certain color and all this kind of stuff. So it's not without the realm of possibility that she could be from another planet that has a certain way things work that is scientifically backed. Um, and so that's why I definitely think, and the underground theory too. I feel like at this point with developments and stuff, I feel like at this point they would have probably found an underground society at some point, but they haven't. And I think the most plausible theory then is she's from another planet. And I think that's what I'm just going to have to go with until we find maybe more evidence to prove otherwise. But I think saying she's an alien, it not to kind of cast it out there and be like, oh, she's an alien, so we don't need. But like, I think being an alien explains a lot of different things, and scientifically, I think it can be backed up better. So.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, definitely a strange incident in English history. Came at a pretty interesting time too, like with English politics at the time that was going on. But man, I wish I had known that detail about King Stephen being from France, because then you could have been like, England first, but we're just serving the interest of France, right? But,
all right, let's not get a little too political, guys. All right.
I know, right?
Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Anything else you got for us, Steve?
Nope, that's it. So, yeah, that's all I got. Watch out for the Green Children.
I know, right? Thank you guys again for watching. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're walking in town one day this week and you happen to see some strange green children, well, they may just be from out of this world.